What do you think is scarier, the idea that we are alone in the universe or the idea that we aren't? Why? That we are alone. Given how much of the universe is in space and time, the idea that Earth is the only place where any life form exists is unsettling. Everyone seems to be assuming that other life means humanoid or intelligent. To me it just means any life form. Carbon based or made of element unknown to our galaxy. There has to be something else. Let's imagine the life of a cell. All it knows is that it is surrounded by other cells and a small area which it thinks is its big world. I believe we are like cells to the current imaginable universe in contrast to an even bigger reality. The idea that we are alone. Because it would imply that our existence is winning the astronomical lottery and this is all we are trying to do with it. Edit, thanks for the silver and all the love. Also edit, no, this isn't negativity. While I do appreciate the inventions and discoveries of the last few centuries, it doesn't mean we are 100% fine to be the way we are, and label all of the above as mankind's achievements. We weren't the ones who put in the hours, blood, sweat, and tears, suffered sleepless nights, and had days when we couldn't travel leisurely and had to grind from before sunrise to after sunset, when we couldn't spend a lot of time with family and friends. Sitting on the great works of mankind's greatest minds in history and claiming it as part of our own success just because we are also human beings does not justify it's okay for most of us to be slack. Let's all carry our own weight and make the most out of our time on this planet. Thief had a couple billion years, sir, and the best they could come up with was making memes about a gorilla who was shot. The idea that we are alone. It gives me a feeling of loneliness and that there is not as much out there to look for. Existence would not be as interesting. Next best thing is to shoot bacteria into space and hope it hits something, then we will have created aliens. Edit. Oh crap, this blew up. I think about the ruins of ancient civilizations on other planets and how absolutely fascinating it would be to explore them. Imagine visiting a planet and the civilization was on par with our ancient Greeks or something similar. I think the scariest thing is that if an asteroid hit Earth right now and destroyed everything, nothing that we know of will recognize any record of anything that ever happened on Earth. There will be nothing to account for the loss of Earth. So if there's nothing out there to do that, then it's like Earth never existed at all. Scary. Edit. Golden record. Tree falls in woods. Entropy got it. Actually, we sent out proof of our existence on probes. HTTPS we sent into outer space in the hopes alien life might find them. They have some cool stuff like a star map to Earth and recordings of various humans. Mathematically there should be life. I think it would be far more frightening that we are alone. It would indicate there was something very weird going on. Neither is scary, because if we are alone, then we have nothing to worry about. If we are not, then the sheer vastness of space is a pretty good indicator that we are not likely to ever make contact with another intelligent species. I find it more depressing knowing that there are so many galaxies and planets out there that there must be billions of strange and exotic places that we'll never see or explore. We are pretty much confined to our own solar system unless we develop a technology to skip across time and space, which is scary to imagine. True. How amazing would it be to planet hop? Forget Europe, I'm vacationing in another galaxy. Tell me, Op, have you read the 3-Body Problem series? I haven't read this, but the description of the dark forest theory sounds a lot like the plot of an earlier book called The Killing Star. The idea being that any race capable of accelerating something to an appreciable percent of light speed is then also able to destroy any planet with almost not warning. Just lob something with enough ma at a planet at a 5% the speed of light and the planet will be devastated with little recourse. So, if you detect another intelligent life form, and you have this capability, you should they do too, and destroy them first, since you can't be sure they aren't thinking the same thing. Which leads to a galaxy of species laying low for fear of getting whacked. That we aren't. If we are alone then we are the best and worst of the universe. I don't want to run into a species worse than us. Valid point. That we are alone. It would give credence to the simulation theory. Given the number of stars being circled by planets that we can see from Earth, let alone the rest of the universe, the odds are laughably small that on one of those distant planets the same building blocks didn't exist. This planet is not unique. But simulation theory is the least scary explanation for why we are alone. To me it's actually the most comforting explanation, because it means there exists superior intelligence and it somehow cares about our existence, even if only tangentially. The more scary / depressing explanations are: 1. We are the first. It means we're screwing up a very unlikely opportunity. 2. We are one of many, but the only one right now. It means civilizations like ours are all doomed to collapse, and extinction egg the great filter is ahead of us. Edit should have made clear I'm ignoring the possibility that we don't know about the others, which is most likely the case. I'm just storming we are truly alone. Alone. It's theoretically impossible for us to be alone, but if we're the first / last thinking life forms in the universe, that's a depressing thought. Cause that means someday, the last human being will die out, and that will be the end of all progress. Sure, life will go on, but would another species step up and do better than us? Can they? Will they? I guess the not knowing is the worst part of it. Theoretically extremely unlikely, not impossible. Well, the idea that we'll never know. There are lots of paradoxes and problems regarding aliens. If they are there at all, have they developed technology advanced enough to create electromagnetic signals? And if yes, why we haven't seen any signs throughout the visible universe? Our civilization can be easily spotted for everyone in a California 110 Li radius with radio telescope, and we can't spot anything in billions of light years around. On the other hand, we have animals on Earth, dated hundreds of millions of years, and they haven't evolved into space dwellers. Honestly, it doesn't matter if we are or not alone. We'll never reach to the stars unless we find out how to break laws of physics. I'm pretty sure everyone alive right now will never know. Maybe it is just universally not possible to travel such long distances in space. Maybe all other species don't even want to do that. Maybe, all we can do is wonder. Cause we ain't discovering new planets and life forms in my lifetime. The idea that it matters. The idea that regardless of either possibility, there is no saving us from ourselves. True. I have recurring dreams, nightmares, of an alien invasion. It usually follows some kind of theme where there are instantaneous global sightings and amped up military engagement / reconnaissance to determine the potential threat. I live close to a large airbase BTW. I'll see it pop up on the TV, and whenever my family and I go outside we will spot a group of them. It's usually just a blip, like they are turning their cloaking devices on and off. But it's one of the most terrifying feelings I've ever experienced. Sheer terror and panic grip us, and we all confirm what we saw. Nothing I've experienced in real life has filled me with that type of dread. For some reason I'm always convinced there is nowhere to hide, and not knowing what is the exact threat gives me a feeling of futility / helplessness. There is nothing we can do to stop them from having their way with us. Sometimes it feels like they just start bombing the whole planet at once or something. Earthquakes and intense weather suddenly appear, and the horizon just shuts down with either black or grey walls like lights being turned off in a long hallway, till the darkness closes in on me. At the end it always feels like there was something we could have done to prevent it from happening, but we procrastinated / didn't care, and that's why the aliens came. A few times the sky literally tore open, and what felt like angels / demons / interdimensional beings just came spewing through, like projectile vomit through a wet paper bag. Not much I can remember following those instances, just sheer terror. Credit to N. by Stephen King. I'm sure reading King's and Lovecraft's works plus watching Hollywood have influenced these dreams / nightmares. But I still can't help but feel like being alone in the universe is worse. It seems like the aliens come because we ducked up the planet and they use it as an intergalactic sort of pit stop. They got tired of letting us destroy nature or something. It's not like they were evil, it was like they had some sort of grand scheme way beyond what some hairless chimps could comprehend. I started having nightmares like that a long time ago when I first watched the Halo 4 Forward into Dawn movie. Seeing the invisible elites slowly pick off cadets was creepy as duck, well until the chief arrived. I don't think either of those outcomes is scary. Reality is what it is. Getting upset over it isn't going to change anything. That's no more scary than the fact that I can't flap my arms and fly to the moon. I don't think the reality is scary, but the idea. The way the mind can spin a narrative and cause anxiety about something that is inherently unlikely. Reality, with the vastness of the universe, the existence of other life forms is almost a certainty. They are most likely limited in travel, as we are, and will never make contact. They are as clueless to our existence as we are to theirs. Not scary idea, aliens. They are going to invade our planet, full on Independence Day. If they exist, that opens us up to the probability of every ridiculous sci-fi movie scenario about alien encounters. That we are alone. The thought that Shrek exists somewhere and would kindly accept us in his swamp in the time of a major catastrophe gives me a good night's sleep. Shrek is love, Shrek is life. The idea we aren't. Basically any time two entities come into contact there is some kind of power struggle, and the loser is either subjugated or eliminated. The only chance for peace is a coincidental situation, where both parties are at the same power, roughly speaking, to where the struggle is known to be too damaging to all parties such that it should be avoided. That's true in Earth scenarios, but I don't think that would happen between two civilizations in space. Because of the size of things, if two interstellar civilizations are close enough to come in contact with each other, there's probably more than two. It's also all but impossible to hide in space. If one civilization starts trying to conquer others, I don't think others would take kindly to that, even if it's for selfish reasons. There's also no real reason to conquer in space. If you're an interstellar civilization, you don't need slaves or other resources from another one. Their only real reason to even make contact would be to say hello and trade ideas, or give a warning to back off. The idea that we aren't. That could be one of the worst ideas possible. Have you ever heard about the Great Filter Theory, HTTPS, or maybe a super civilization that monitors other planets with lives and destroy them once they become too much of a threat to them? If you haven't already, I suggest you read the 3-Body Problem series. Alone because some astronomical event must have destroyed that civilization. It is only some time until it eventually happens to us. Yearming there was another civilization to begin with. Mathematically we shouldn't be alone. There are too many stars in too many galaxies across a seemingly infinite universe that has already existed for billions of years. So, if we are alone there has to be a reason for it. And that reason must be terrifying. A wave that wipes out a city is terrifying. A fire that kills everything in a forest is terrifying. We don't have a word to describe the unfathomable horror of confronting the reason why life doesn't exist in the universe. Even more worrying, if this force has wiped out all life in the universe, for what reason has it left us? The idea that we are alone, because that would mean no other hospitable planets exist in the universe, and when the Earth finally blows up, or whatever, then that is the end of life in the universe. I believe that yes, mathematically, there should be other life, but the part that I think a lot of people overlook is the fact that the possibility that this other life form exists at the same exact point in time as us is very low. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years, and life on Earth has only existed for the last 3.5 billion years, which is a lot of time, but humanity has only existed for the last 200,000 years. 0.0002 billion years. Then you also have to consider the fact that, even if we do exist at the same as this other life form, the possibility that they would have some form of communication that we can interpret or even detect, or the possibility that we could even find it within the vast universe is astronomically low. So really, I believe that there definitely has been, or will be, extraterrestrial life somewhere in the universe, but it doesn't seem possible that we will discover it or have contact with it in any foreseeable future. That we are alone, for sure. Now, not saying that is scary, but it's scarier than knowing there are aliens, because if there's one then suddenly the odds of more goes up, and given the scale, the possibilities are endless. We could come across aliens that have cures for all diseases and answers to all our questions about the universe, all given to us in the space of a couple days, saving us centuries of scientific research and advancement. This is equally as likely as a predatory alien species that tries to eat us, but generally, when a civilization advances, certainly to the level of space travel, the civilization become more and more peaceful. civilization become more and more peaceful, you either die a villain or live long enough to become a hero. Alone. I hope there is a god or something greater than us. I'm not religious, but it's a comfort to hope for. That we are alone. If we are alone, then everything we do becomes more meaningful. If we go extinct, that would mean the end of sapient technologically advanced species. If the earth becomes uninhabitable, then all hope for life in the entire universe is lost. If we are alone, then this planet becomes a billion times more precious, and the way we've been treating it becomes instantly unacceptable. The pollution we and our ancestors caused would be treasonous crimes. The stakes have become infinitely higher because we are the only chance for life in the galaxy. If we are alone, then our best is the best that anyone is ever going to do. And if I take a look around, I can't help but feel disappointed and ashamed of our accomplishments so far. We are progressing to the point where the earth won't satisfy our continued lust for growth, and we are risking all life in the universe to achieve it if we are alone. I know the limits and destructive capabilities of humans. I don't want to have to guess at a species we don't know and may not be able to communicate with. Exactly this. As terrible as humans have been in the past and still are in many cases, the vast majority still have empathy to somewhat temper the terribleness. We have no idea if an invading alien species would have anything resembling empathy. If they are programmed solely for survival with no considerations of how anybody/anyone feels, they will take what they need from our planet in the quickest and most efficient way possible by any means necessary, with zero regard for us. There is at least some reason to believe that they might have something resembling empathy, though. If an organism is just programmed to take with no regard for others, then maybe it's unlikely they were able to construct an advanced civilization with the ability to work together. If it's everyone for themselves with no regard for others, I find it hard to believe that such a civilization would ever be able to get off the ground. Aside from our intelligence, humanity as a whole is as dominant as it is on Earth because of our ability to work together toward a common goal. The idea that we are alone is way scarier. The idea that we could go extinct in a couple hundred years and be the end of intelligent life in the universe is depressing. I'm comforted by the idea that there's more out there than just us. I think fear is a path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Neil deGrasse Tyson said that his worst fear is that aliens already visited Earth and decided not to make contact because there is no intelligent life here. I mean, I would rather be invaded than insulted. The idea of being alone. The idea that we are alone. If we are alone, then we are like the lone survivor on a deserted island with nothing and no one. Forgotten, staring into the distance hoping for rescue that will never appear. If we are the best God can do, holy duck. I'm an atheist. If there is a god, I think we were probably the test planet. I think the scarier one is that we aren't. Mostly from the scientific viewpoint I once learned about. There was this natural filter or something, which was a nearly impossible obstacle to overcome for life. Now, the goal of all life is to grow and evolve, so the natural goal of humanity is to spread in the whole universe. That's where this filter comes in. There were 4 main stages that can be the filter in theory: developing life, developing conscience, developing intelligence, and factor X. What that means is, the less life we find in space, the more likely it is we've already overcome the biggest obstacle and we can continue to grow. If we find, let's say, many other civilizations, that will mean the obstacle is ahead of us, the unknown factor X. Theory is that it's probably us destroying ourselves eventually. So, personally, I hope we can continue with humanity's goal and make our history actually mean something to the universe by the time it ends. As the late great Arthur C. Clarke says, both are terrifying. I got eaten by an alien in a dream when I was 10. I've been kind of afraid of aliens ever since. That being said, I don't really have an interest in meeting other life forms from outer space in this lifetime. Unrelated, but isn't it amazing how childhood dreams can impact us and mold who we become as adults? I can't remember what I ate for lunch yesterday, but I remember a nightmare I had when I was 5 in graphic detail. Us being alone sucks a lot more. We can't possibly be as good as it gets. I refuse to even entertain the idea that we are alone. Killing all life on Earth is bad, but it's worse to live with that we killed the only life in the universe. The idea that we aren't. What if aliens want to invade Earth for an experiment of phys where they create a new species? What if we are that experiment? Just like it says in the Fermi paradox, both are equally as terrifying. If we are alone, then it means that life was a mistake and we are just a small error in the cosmos. But if they are real, then depending on their level of complexity, we can't know if the great filter is ahead of us or behind us. If it's behind us, then we don't have much, if anything at all, to worry about. But if it's ahead, there may be an extinction event coming. Neither. If we are alone, all we have to do is survive and thrive long enough to uplift creatures to sentience, so we aren't alone. Or, we survive long enough to find other civilizations. The scary part for me is that all biological life is just a game. Eventually there is a game over screen for everything, so all of our efforts will eventually be defeated by the ending of the universe. The simulation theory. It's scarier if we're not alone, but also way more interesting. We can't even fathom what life from another planet would be like. Sure, it could be similar to life on our planet, but we have a sample size of a single planet where all life evolved from the same single cell organism, and yet we seem to always give theorized alien life Earth life trace. Life on another planet could be so different from us that we wouldn't even recognize it as life. I think both. If we are not alone, then of course there could be an alien civilization that is say 10x worse than us, and so if we encountered them, we could be ducked, while if we were alone on the other hand, then due to the fact there isn't anyone else around, then we are the first/last people in the vastness of the universe. I consider neither to be scary. I'd just like to know that we aren't. Personally, I would not want an Independence Day situation to happen, or some next time of Pacific Rim action from space. No thank you. I'd be okay with a Godzilla though. Doesn't matter to me personally, probably, cause I don't think there's gonna be an alien invasion within the next 100 years. IDK Man 2020 has been a ride. Let me ask you this. You are camping alone in the woods surrounded by darkness and trees, the campfire being your only source of light. Do you fear what you do not see? Those that could possibly lurk between the trees, but may not be. It's not probability or knowing that scares us, it's the unknown. Both are scary cause neither gives any answers. Either we somehow came to be the sole inheritors of all existence, or we are but a speck of sand on this beach called life. What's most troubling is that we are not alone, but we will never get to meet anyone because of the vast distances in space. I'll give you a good argument for not being alone is scarier. The universe is very old. If we scale the age of the universe down to 1 year, humans appeared during the last day, modern civilization has existed for 14 seconds. The simple fact that the universe isn't teeming with advanced life forms who had an earlier start could have a few explanations. The one that sticks with me for topical reasons is called the Great Filter. Basically, it posits that all civilizing life hits the same problem as they develop, and this wipes them out or significantly resets all their progress. And this is why we have not found or been found by intelligent alien life. Keep in mind this is one of many explanations. I'm no expert on any of this, but I've got a gut feeling that greenhouse gas emissions could be the Great Filter, especially based on how things are lately. That's why not alone is scarier. That we aren't another species that may be smarter or hostile could be scary. Not only that, but at least we have each other, so we're not completely alone. The problem is it would likely take them billions of years to get to us, even at the fastest possible speed you could go. I love the idea of either of these scenarios. I don't think either one is scary in and of themselves. I think the scariest idea is that one day we may no longer exist in the universe. A lot of people talking about being alone, because within that there's no extension or humanity, and what I see from that is ultimately being forgotten. With no other life form to discover us and find all of information and history, we will not be remembered, and I think that brings in a subconscious essential crisis on a different level. For me it's more so that there is absolutely life out there. We proved that with Mars bacteria. The thing that is not so much scary to me, but incredibly saddening, is that we will most likely never get to meet them. We are at the point in our history and amount of specialization that we have that finding new worlds presents an incredible amount of new information and curiosities to explore. I feel that what truly makes life on our planet so special is the insatiable drive to explore, to find the unknown. We have a brother somewhere out there, most likely on the sphere of life from the Big Bang. But it is quite probable that we'll never reconnect with them. We are 1 in a billion trillion trillion. I'm positive that other forms of life exist somewhere in the universe, whether it's past the observable universe, or as close as Proxima Centauri b. I agree. For me, the question isn't do they exist, they do. The question is, are they intelligent and capable of communication? Where are they on the evolutionary roadmap? Are we talking sci-fi movie aliens or a Mobius? Neither scares me. If there are aliens, they don't affect me. If there aren't, that doesn't affect me. At least not that I know of. I do, however, believe there is more out there. Whether it's aliens, gods, whatever, I find it hard to believe we have a universe so ducking big and we're the only ones here. That makes no sense to me. I mean, we know there was an Earth before ours. Why wouldn't there have been life there? My personal theory, going on a tangent here, is we are the aliens. I watched a documentary talking about Mars and they talked about how evidence shows that Mars used to look very similar to Earth. How do we know our ancestors didn't pull a Superman and send a few life forms here? That we are alone. Neither is particularly worrisome to me. Is it wrong? That neither particularly bother me. If we are alone, so be it. We are either the catalyst or the swan song. If we aren't, it's somewhat comforting that we're not the only hope for making something. From a logical standpoint, I see it as arrogant and vain to assume we are alone, but the opposite doesn't worry me much. Neither idea scares me. There is no doubt other intelligent life is out there, and it is not coming here to steal my women or make me its dinner. Effectively both are the same. Either way we're floating vulnerable in a massive, infinitely weird universe that is indifferent to our existence and could kill us at any moment in a million different ways. I think the idea of us being the sole humanoids of the universe is a little more uneasy, because if no other planet can support life, we would really be a random cancer to the universe trying to spread to other planets, but their atmosphere would be like white blood cells and kick all our butts. Alone would be scarier to think the universe will be empty when this lone light goes out. Neither of these concepts are particularly scary. Either we are alone in the universe and that's it, or there are aliens out there, but they are either not advanced enough to contact us, or don't want to. So who cares? Neither option has any direct impact on my life, until we know for sure that one or the other is a truth, which we will probably never see in my lifetime. I'm not scared of either of them. Who cares? If aliens get here, they're advanced, and I don't see how they can do that if they aren't aware of consciousness and compassion. If we are alone, so what? It wouldn't feel any different. The idea that you're gonna die a virgin, even though half of the population is of opposite sex. Being alone isn't scary, we have everything we need. If we do a better job preserving the planet, we won't run out of resources. Usually when I think about making contact with other life forms, it's pretty chill, but there could realistically be a very advanced species taking resources from every planet that it can, saying duck all to its inhabitants. Or worse, seeing its inhabitants as inferior playthings. And I don't like to think of that. I feel like, if humans had the technology, we'd be that horribly species pillaging other planets with no regard to the native inhabitants. I don't think either option is scary at all. Neither is scary. If we are alone in the universe, nothing has changed. If we aren't, nothing has changed, unless they somehow are able to get to us, which is unlikely. I can't comprehend, because I doubt we're alone. But knowing that other life forms are probably millions/billions of years away, we may as well be alone. UFOs? I truly think that we have advanced tech so far into the future, we can literally travel back in time. UFOs could be future us. Little men with probes have advanced and evolved so far in the future, they can use their minds for anything. Neither. If we are, then great. Otherwise it's not like we're missing out on anything. I don't see why either would be scary. Neither is scary, we can take anything. Oh my. You watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.